My boss tried to ruin my marriage because he was secretly in love with my wife. My boss was in love with my wife and tried to ruin my marriage and career to get to her. He failed. We trapped him with fake messages, exposed him to corporate, and got him fired. We left, started over, and now he's nothing but a footnote in our story. This happened 2 years ago, and it still doesn't feel real sometimes. I lost a job, nearly lost my marriage, and ended up finding out just how twisted people can be when they can't have what they want. Strap in. This one's long, but worth it. I, 32M at the time, landed what I thought was my dream job in 2020. It was a mid-sized digital marketing firm with a sleek office, beer on Fridays, bean bags, and meeting rooms. The whole tech startup pretending to be a family vibe. But I liked it. I worked hard. I was good at what I did. Within a year, I got promoted to team lead. That's when I started reporting directly to Chris, 42M, my boss. Chris was charismatic, intense, driven, and honestly, a little too involved in people's personal lives. He'd ask about my wife, Lena, 30F, every time we chatted. At first, it was casual. How's Lena doing? Or are you guys still planning that vacation? Normal stuff. But it ramped up. One day he said, "You know, she sounds too good for you." He laughed like it was a joke, but something about the way he said it stuck with me. Chris was big on team bonding. Every few months, he'd take his leads out for dinner, sometimes with their spouses. Lena joined one of those dinners. That's when everything shifted. Lena is beautiful, warm, smart. She makes friends in every room. And she was polite to Chris, of course, but nothing flirty. She didn't like him, actually. Said he gave her controlling ex vibes. After that dinner, Chris wouldn't shut up about her. "You're punching above your weight, man," he said once. Another time, "If I had a woman like that, I'd never work late again." I laughed it off. I thought he was just being weirdly complimentary. But it got worse. Chris started overloading me with work, dumping extra projects on my plate, assigning late deadlines, scheduling urgent meetings at 7 p.m., always, justifying it with, "You're the only one I can trust with this." Lena noticed. "Why is your boss so obsessed with keeping you late?" I didn't want to seem paranoid, but something was off. Then came the first real red flag. Chris offered me tickets to a conference out of state. All expenses paid. "Great networking opportunity," he said. I was flattered until Lena told me that while I was gone, Chris sent her flowers that I thought she was joking. Then she showed me the card. It read, "Hope this brightens your day while your husband's off chasing paychecks." Chris, I lost it. I confronted him the next day that he smiled like it was nothing. Said, "It was a joke. Lighten up." I told him it was inappropriate. He smirked and said, "If I wanted to cross a line, you'd know." I reported him to HR. Guess what? He was HR, small company. No real oversight. From that day on, he made my life hell. Suddenly my work was slipping. Deadlines I met were not up to standard. He started documenting every small mistake, CCing senior execs on passive-aggressive emails. Then, and this still blows my mind, he texted Lena, late at night. He said, and I quote, "If you ever want someone who actually sees your worth, you know where to find me." She blocked him instantly. Showed me everything. That's when we realized Chris wasn't just being inappropriate. He was trying to ruin our marriage. A week later, I was put on performance review. A final warning. Complete BS. Chris was stacking the deck against me. Then I got an anonymous tip from a coworker, someone who saw what was going on. Apparently, Chris had been telling people I was unstable, that Lena and I were separating, that I was losing it because I couldn't handle stress. It was a full-on smear campaign. He was laying the groundwork to either get me fired or push me out, so he could swoop in on my wife. I couldn't believe it. This man, a boss I had trusted, was using his position to destroy both my job and my relationship for his own twisted fantasy. I decided to fight back. Carefully, Lena and I came up with a plan that she'd message Chris from a new number, pretending she was having second thoughts. She said, "You were right. Things with me have been rough." Chris replied instantly. He poured his heart out, called me controlling, cold, said I didn't appreciate her. He even sent her screenshots of internal HR files he'd been keeping on me to prove I was unraveling. Boom. That was a violation of multiple corporate policies. Lena played along for 2 weeks. Got him to repeat everything over email. Then, we sent it all, screenshots, texts, voice notes, directly to the CEO and the board. I was called into a meeting the next day. Chris was there. So was the CEO. They told me they'd reviewed the evidence. That Chris had violated ethical and legal boundaries, including abuse of authority, harassment, and falsifying performance reviews. Chris tried to defend himself. Said Lena led him on. Said I was emotionally unstable. Then the CEO pulled out a printed email where Chris said he loved her since the first dinner and would make sure I didn't stand in the way. He was fired on the spot, escorted out. 2 days later, the company publicly announced a leadership transition. Internally, everyone knew what happened. I was cleared of all bogus performance marks. I was offered a promotion. I declined. I quit a month later. Lena and I moved to a new city. She started a photography business. I joined a bigger agency with actual HR that were stronger than ever. The experience almost broke us, but it also made us bulletproof. We talk more, laugh more, trust deeper. Last I heard, Chris was unemployed, under investigation for harassment at 2 other companies, and very singled. I still have the screenshot of the message he sent Lena. You deserve better. She does. That's why she's still with me, and he's alone.